Ukraine. A land of fertile plains, rich culture and a turbulent history. For centuries, this region has been at the heart of power struggles, cultural clashes and geopolitical ambitions. But why does Russia have such a strong desire to control Ukraine? The answer lies in 1,000 years of history. Our story begins over a millennium ago with the Kievan Rus, a powerful medieval state centered around Kiev. Known as the mother of Rus's cities, Kiev was the spiritual and political heart of a civilization that gave rise to the Russian, Belarusian and Ukrainian peoples. When the Mongol horde invaded in the 13th century, the Kievan Rus fractured, leading to the rise of the Grand Duchy of Moscow as a new center for the Rus people. But Kiev's legacy as the birthplace of Russian culture remained deeply ingrained in the Russian imagination, a connection that fuels modern-day tensions. For centuries, Ukraine became a contested frontier, changing hands between empires. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth ruled much of Ukraine until the 17th century, when the Cossacks rebelled. In 1654, they sought protection from Moscow, signing the Treaty of Pereyaslav, which Russia later interpreted as Ukraine's unification with its territory. Crimea, another focal point of tension, was annexed by Russia in 1783 under Catherine the Great. This move solidified Russian control over the Black Sea, a strategic and economic lifeline. By the 19th century, a distinct Ukrainian identity began to emerge, much to the dismay of Russian rulers. Efforts to suppress Ukrainian culture and language intensified, banning their use in schools and public life. This repression highlighted Russia's fear of losing its influence over Ukraine. Fast forward to the 20th century. Ukraine joined the Soviet Union in 1922, becoming its breadbasket, a vital supplier of grain for the entire USSR. But this dependence came at a terrible cost. In 1932, Stalin's policies led to the Holodomor, a state-sponsored famine that killed millions. It was a brutal reminder of Ukraine's vulnerability under Russian domination. During World War II, Ukraine found itself caught between two tyrannies, Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. The devastation of war solidified its role as a battleground for empires, further deepening its strategic importance. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, Ukraine declared independence. For the first time in centuries, it stood as a sovereign state. But this newfound freedom was met with resistance from Moscow, which saw Ukraine's independence as a threat to its own influence. In 2014, Russia annexed Crimea, citing its historical ties and strategic importance. This move, condemned internationally, marked a new chapter in the conflict. Today, Ukraine remains a geopolitical chessboard, with Russia aiming to control its resources, maintain access to the Black Sea, and keep NATO at bay. For Russia, Ukraine is more than just a neighbor. It's a historical symbol, an economic asset, and a strategic buffer against the West. For Ukraine, the fight is for survival, sovereignty, and a chance to define its own future. The struggle for Ukraine is far from over.